touched upon culture a little bit when you're saying it could get messy if someone says, well, now we have an outbreak and you kind of have to work your way backwards. What happened here? What are the policies and procedures you have in place in this if this happens? And it's very vital for a lot of businesses. We work with HR departments to kind of make sure the messaging is clear, the communication is very clear, and because you got to maintain that culture. And I think that's really, it's sensitive right now too as well. The culture has been shifted when people went remote and now it's coming back. So it's like, do you have two cultures? But not really. It's one. It's just it's a transitional culture.
Right, 100%. And that's where I think you and I have talked about this, but HR and marketing are much more closely aligned than they probably have been in the past, where obviously we heavily work with HR departments when it comes to benefits. And, HR departments in turn they're responsible for your people, and between them and the executive teams, which includes marketing, kind of sets your culture. And I think having that all very clearly defined is more important right now than it's ever been, because again, all of these policy creations and how you present this to your employee population, you want to make sure that it's not being presented with a negative connotation. It has to be presented in a positive way that enhances your culture as an organization, as opposed to looking like you're trying to put the restraints on people. So I think having everybody connected and having everybody on the same page is more important right now than ever. And like you mentioned, it ties into all different kinds of things, not just obviously the obvious of getting employees back into the workplace, but now it's, do people want to stay remote? And then how do you handle that? It's all kinds of questions of management of remote employees for managers that maybe haven't been used to doing that in the past. Leave policies you mentioned. Recruiting is something that's super important now, where marketing and HR are, they're almost so intertwined that you can't tell where one starts and the other one ends. So we always thought that it was like that way with benefits in HR. And now, since HR is sort of morphing into this other area where it's being hit from, like you mentioned, policy compliance, you need to get attorneys involved constantly. It's a challenging time, but it's a time where you really have to take a look at your business partners and make sure they're watching out for you. And I think from the things that we've talked about, having business partners that are fluent in, obviously they're experts in their own area, but are fluent and can recognize things in other areas and bring in people to help. I think that's super, super important.